Good evening, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. And for this evening, for the Cigar Talk, we'll be enjoying a Habano, which is Karen by Berger. I know a very unique name for a cigar, but making sure trying to get this focus inside the camera here. Again, this is Habano Karen by Berger. And of course, I already burnt the sides here. Let me light the butt of it. Give it a good flame here. I'll let you know how this bad Billy feels. Forgot to turn on my rabbit air. There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cover a lot of things tonight. And I really want to break down this hood mentality. I really want to break down this ghetto mentality. Now, the hood mentality and the ghetto mentality are synonymous. They're one and the same. So I'm going to be using them interchangeably. So stay with me as I go along with this when I go about this information. And tonight I'm drinking on two of my favorite drinks. Well, not two of my favorite, one of my favorite. I have my H2O, of course. And then I have my YouTube iced tea. And for you guys don't know, if this wasn't YouTube iced tea, this probably would be a Corona. I'm just saying, if it wasn't YouTube iced tea, which it is. And again, my cigar is a Habano. Now, I want to jump right into the information. So let's take a quick break here for the commercial. All right. So with that being said, fam, we're going to jump right into this. The hood mentality. What have we known to glorify, to praise, to celebrate the hood mentality, the way we think, the way we go about things? This has been embedded. This has been learned behavior from our parents, from the generation right before the baby boomers. I think they call them baby boomer X. Okay, our parents, because baby boomers are now around in their 70s and 80s. Your parents are around in their 60s. Okay, your parents are probably around in their 60s if you are a Generation X like myself. And then your kids are the millennials and your kids are the Generation Z. There's still a lot of people in their 40s, in their late 30s having kids. So your generation, your kids that you're having are Generation Millennials and Generation Z. This behavior of the hood mentality and the ghetto mentality, they're synonymous, have been taught and trained inside of us, inside of our communities. And again, a lot of these things can be contribute in some form of fashion to white supremacy, but I do not give white supremacy all of the credit when it comes to the way that we know how we've been attacked, the way that we have been trained and going about things, about how we are. So first, let's build a foundation and premise like we always do, and let's break down the ghetto mentality, aka the hood mentality. Someone who spends all their money on useless and depreciating items instead of saving or investing it. Typically, the buy nice thing to try to signal to others that they are rich. This is the hood mentality. I see it all the time on Instagram. I see it all the time on YouTube. I see it all the time on Facebook, where no matter where you're from, over 80% of the black population, over 80% of the melanated people in America come from the hood, come from the ghetto. But these are the things we don't understand, that we're still acting out the same way that the white supremacists want us to act out, and we have yet to change our mindsets. We think by buying expensive clothing, buying cars that we can't afford, but going right back to the ghetto, going right back to the hood to live is leveling up. Is you doing it big. But this is the mindset that we've been given. This is the mindset that we've been given. Let's move on. I'm not going to stay here long. Here we go again. The ghetto. Formerly a street or quarter of a city. Let me blow this up because we need to understand. See, I really want to break this down because we don't essentially know where the hood term or the ghetto term come from. This actually comes back from the 1500s, essentially. that they actually gave to the Jews. See, what Americans did, the white supremacists that came over here and conquered this land and colonized it, are the same Europeans from over in Europe, and they gave us the term that they did on the Jews. And we're not understanding that instead of making our situation better because we're closer and we are more in reach and in touch with one another, we've made our situation worse. Yeah, I know CIA introduced crack cocaine into the black community. Yes, I know about redlining. Yes, I know about all the racial disparities. But we have to take some accountability. We have to take some credit when credit is due. And it's not positive credit, family. Let me read on. The ghetto, formerly a street or quarter of a city, set apart as a legally enforced resident area. And it says right here, for the Jews. One of the earliest forced segregation of Jews was in Muslim Morocco, when in the 1280s, okay, 1280s, they were transferred to segregated quarters called millennials. In some Muslim countries, rigid ghetto systems were enforced with restrictions on the size of houses and doors. Forced segregation of Jews spread throughout the Europe during the 14th and 15th centuries. The ghettos of Frankfurt and Maine and Prague were renowned. It says in Poland and Lithuania, Jews were numerous enough to constitute a majority of the population in many cities and towns. Now, the black community is afflicted by the ghetto mentality, aka the hood mentality. We also have songs to reinforce this narrative. We also have songs to reinforce this perspective and this reality, essentially. See, we glorify keeping it hood. We glorify keeping it real, but where has it gotten us? It has gotten us absolutely nowhere. We're in the same damn place that our parents was. We're in the same damn place that our parents was, and we're still not learning. But supposedly Generation X, the millennials, are smarter, more accomplished generation. But why are we still living either in the ghetto or with the ghetto mentality or with the hood mentality, if that's the case? I'm just asking a question. What do we do about the ghetto mentality that all encompasses the mindset of ignorance that has grown out of street life? The get over any way you can mindset. Again, the get over any way you can mindset. That more than anything else underscores the essence of the ghetto mentality. What do we as black folk do about it? All that is negative represents the ghetto mentality. There's nothing positive, enlightening, or uplifting about it. Yet too many black folk live and die by the ghetto mentality. It replaces social consciousness. I want to hear that again. It replaces social consciousness, if ever existing in some folks' minds at all. I'm not going to read all of it because I'm just building a framework. Before you start a house, you have to build the foundation and the base and the framework to understand that the mindset that you have is not yours alone. Your parents actually assisted you in this mindset. Your environment, your predatory environment has assisted you in your mindset. A lot of people got really upset when Hillary Clinton essentially said that melanated people, black people, were super predators. Now, if you guys come from the inner city, the urban cities, where I come from, we're talking about LA, not so much Seattle, but certain parts of Seattle, certain parts of Phoenix, certain parts of New Mexico. I'm talking about states and cities. We're talking about Detroit, Chicago. We're talking about Milwaukee. We're talking about New Orleans. We're talking about DC, different boroughs in New York, okay, New Jersey, certain places in Florida, Texas, etc. You know what I'm getting at. All of these urban cities within these states have a large portion of black population, and more times than not, 80% or more of the blacks that live in those neighborhoods have the hood and ghetto mentality, and and actually live in those communities. But then when you go out and get a better job, a better career, you have more accolades, you have better accomplishment, you still have the hood mentality. You still spend all of your money on materialistic things. You're still clubbing every weekend instead of studying every weekend or researching every weekend. This is the mindset that, one, your parents created for you, and two, you have reinforced with your dumbass behavior. Those who I'm talking to, you know who I'm talking about. Good evening, Wendell. But this is the mindset that we go about. Now listen, this is what we're referring to, family. Referring to every black woman, not as a black woman, but as bitches and hoes. Is an example of the ghetto and hood mentality. Calling all black men dogs is another example. We reinforce these stereotypes. We reinforce these stereotypes. Yes, we do. See, I remember watching women in my mom's generation coming home late at night, smelling like alcohol and drugs and sex. As a young kid, those memories are stored in their subconscious mind. And believe it or not, you are a product of your environment, whether it be at your home or in your community, also in another environment. See, ladies and men, when you go out and you go clubbing, or you go out and you have friends over, your kids are watching you regardless if you sent them to their room or not. See, you may not be actively, say, allowing your kids around certain activities, but your kids are listening and your kids are watching. How many times have you told your kid while you got friends over, you guys are drinking, you guys are smoking, you guys are doing whatever, hey, go in your room. I'm gonna whoop your ass if you don't go in your room. But in the first place, you shouldn't have had that activity inside your home for your kids to be susceptible. In those environments, we're repeating the exact same behavior as our parents. YouTube iced tea. We are repeating the same behavior as our parents. And you wonder why your life is in the same condition as your parents. You live in the same status, the same level, regardless if you got a degree or certification or not, because you're still living paycheck to paycheck because of your hood mentality. You want all the latest gear. You want the latest car. And you wonder why you're this far up in freaking debt. Because we're not doing any better than we once done before. Let me read on. This was a good article. Smoking and drinking and whatever things grown folk may do every now and then, for folk afflicted with the ghetto mentality, this stuff is part of everyday life. It shouldn't be, of course, but don't tell that to the preachers of the ghetto mentality, which sucks all common sense from the brain. Which sucks all common sense from the brain. Which sucks all common sense from your brain. About keeping it real. What the fuck does that mean? What has keeping it real have gotten you? Where has keeping it real have gotten you and your family and your friends? Here's an example of the stereotypical black woman. The lady riding on Amtrak recently and talking loud on her phone during a double-digit hour trip demonstrated the ghetto mentality. I remember riding on the subways in DC, and I was a product of my environment too. I'm not any better. We're talking loud, we're playing music, we're acting a fool, while decent, reasonable people going to work, coming from work, sitting down, being sensible, being a contributor to their communities, looking at us, shaking their head like we're going to hell in a handbasket. And then when your elder, when someone in your community, maybe a mentor, tries to correct our youth, what occurs? They get shot, killed, beat up, jumped. That's why the elders in our neighborhood stay away from the youth. Stay away from Generation X, the millennials, Generation Z. Because can't nobody tell you anything. And you wonder why we have these systemic problems outside of racism. Okay, Karen is not accusing you of stealing from Walmart. Brad is not trying to set you up. The police have not killed you yet. So what is your issue? What is your problem? What's holding you back? Because there's a lot of black people out there who figured it out. But this is the mindset that we constantly reinforce day in, day out. Oh, we're going to do it big. That means we're going to smoke, drink, probably have some food, play loud music. That's all we really do. I remember growing up watching the Winter Olympics on TV. And I remember just watching the Winter Olympics. Most of them was white people, of course. And I was like, oh, essentially that looks cool. I don't know how I said it at the time. That looks cool. And then my family would respond like, man, that's white people shit. And essentially it is. I mean, because ancestrally, we're from a warmer climate, or we're from this country. Would you be an aborigine of this land or descendant from Africa? But essentially it is. But the point being is that when we compare our traditions and culture outside of partying and music and all the great things our historians and or our activists have done, what do black people like to do? Because we understand the hood mentality. We understand the hood mindset. What do we like to do, people? Men, smoke, drink, get some pussy. Ladies, smoke, drink, eat, trying to find a dude with money and give him some pussy. See, will it be when I was growing up or my kids growing up? Our environment in our society is even worse. See, Generation X, we might be the forerunners right after the baby boomer X generation, our mothers and fathers. We're doing a lot better than them. And people keep saying that the millennials are smarter than Generation X. No, the hell they're not. Listen, a fool can operate a cell phone. You're just pressing buttons. They're saying because kids can press buttons on applications that they're smarter. That's not the truth. If anything, I would like to think the generation right before there was a calculator or an algorithm and software for everything is probably smarter, but that's a side argument. But this is the mindset that essentially we have not been given, but it has been glorified. And you know what the largest contributor of the hood and ghetto mindset, other than the drug pushers, the drug dealers, and the prostitutes and the black community? Music. Music has created such a negative power in our environment that has consistently and generationally has made us worse than anything else, in my opinion, besides drugs. Besides drugs. Notorious says, I'm 22, left the hood and started truck driving. Now I'm getting money, and everyone from the hood is claiming that I changed up on them because I won't give them money, family included. Let me respond to that. Millennials and Generation Z constantly have to be distracted about what's going on social media and what the Breakfast Club has to say, talking about the subject they won't help the black society, of course. Now, Notorious says something, hey, listen, when someone's doing good, when someone's doing better than somebody else, it's just the crab mentality. And some of them consciously or unconsciously are doing it. because you change the way you go about doing things. You broken the cycle. Because a lot of us would have been victims of this same hood and also ghetto mentality. How can the millennials in Generation Z be smarter than Generation X, where the only thing they do is hang on social media? Because they know how to work an application. Yeah. Well, let me move on. I don't want to get stuck here, family. Let me move on to another point here. It says a ghetto is part of a system, especially in a slum, in which members of who minority groups are isolated because of social, legal, or economic pressure. Ghettos are associated with scarcity. Now, this is a good part. In his famous book, which I've read, The 7 Habits of Effective People, and the one I read was Highly Effective People, it said differentiates between abundant and scarcity mentality. He encouraged people to have abundance or win-win mindset. The focus of this article is to help leaders identify when and how they have been acting from a scarcity or win-lose mentality. The ghetto mentality is one in which people mindsets about life is informed by poverty and fear. Although the people may have physically moved out of the ghetto, they are still psychologically stuck. This mentality is also evident in the way leaders behave. This also has to do with finance, because now you have a better job. You got your degree, you got your certification. Now you have a better job, and you're trying to go out and buy everything that you never could buy before. And here's the thing, when you guys level up, you have to leave people behind. Can somebody, is everyone hearing me? When you level up, in order for you to sustain your current level, you have to leave people behind, or they will drag your ass back to the ghetto. If you believe that you can do better with the people in your circle, the same ones you grew up with, then I will beg to differ if you grew up in environments like I did. Because if I stayed with some of the same folk that was never going anywhere, that wanted to keep it gangster, that the drug life, the drug pusher was the way to go, then I'll still be in that environment, in jail or dead. You know the typical story. If you stay in the hood, if you stay in the ghetto, you will end up dead or in jail, or strung out on drugs. See, the key is making out of the ghetto. See, we can blame white supremacy of putting us in ghettos and contributing to the hood mentality, but it doesn't stop there. All this information that we have, whether you be Generation X, millennials, and now coming around Generation Z, you are still doing the same bullshit that your parents did, and you are teaching your kids either through voice or your actions. See, you lead by an example, whether you have kids or not, for the people in your community. It amazes me how you can't do better, you won't do better, and you know better. See, I'm going to tell you what I do, family. I go around to Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube mostly, and I do research. And I look at the amount of subscribers on people's channel, and I say, Ross, how can I reach more people? How can I give people more great financial information? And so I try to get ideas from other people, because that's what successful people do. You go out and look at other people who are somewhat in your part, in your realm, your race, your demographics, and you say, I can take this from them, that from that person, and put it into my broadcast, put it into my program, and see if it works. See if I can attract more people so people can be financially free. But no, I can't do that, Because for some reason, majority of black people are addicted to drama. A guy get on the internet giving financial information, guy get on the internet giving you health information. I'm not just talking about me. I'd rather turn that shit off, and I'd rather go to another channel and hit drama about people beefing on the internet. Because I want to be entertained. That is the issue. You've been working all day and your ass want to stop learning. I got a full-time job, talking about me. I have a full-time job, part-time business, and I still do YouTube. And I still a football coach, volunteer football coach. Busy, 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 busy. But I live the life that I want to live. We're about to go to the Dominican Republic. Then later on, we're about to go to take a cruise. How can I do that? Because I changed my mindset. I didn't let my environment, I didn't let the people of my environment control my actions. And they give excuses of why I'm doing the way I'm doing. I'm waiting for another fan in here because it'd be hot as hell in here. But this is the mindset that our parents and you have reinforced, our generation, Generation X. And you wonder why our sons and daughters are turning out to be part of the LGBT community. Uh-oh, he said it. He about to get canceled. I can give a flying fuck. Let me tell you something. I have nothing against the LGBT community. They do as they please, but I do not have to agree with their behavior. I say it again. I have nothing against the LGBT community, but I do not have to agree with their behavior. Because let me tell you something. How can we increase our population if the women are with women or the women are trying to be men, the men are with men, and the men are trying to be women? That tells me that white supremacy is working. Everybody's in an uproar. Everybody's in an uproar about Lil Nas X. Why? Why? I looked at his YouTube channel. He has 14 million subscribers. I saw the views on his, was it his new video, his old video? He had 304 million views. And the only thing he's doing is acting out on a mission that was given to him by white supremacists in order to make the black community more gay than what it is. All these things, that these narratives that, oh, I was born gay, I do not agree. I don't have to agree. Because at the end of the day, how do we prove things, family? By science. There's no scientific evidence that people are born gay. Oh, this is the way I felt at birth. No. The problem in the black community is the parent, is us. Single mothers cannot raise men. Regardless if that woman seems to be manly, seems to be aggressive, but she cannot raise a man. He don't even got to be a strong man. She cannot raise a man. She can barely raise a woman because of her parents. This pain, this agony, this mindset of being ghetto and hood is generational. We can blame white supremacy on a lot of things. But when you are in the know, when you have the knowledge, when you have the wisdom, or how about this? You just have freaking common sense and you're like, you know what? My mother did this, my grandmother did this, and it didn't work. I hear all these fake philosophers keep using the term insanity is keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. But that's what our community is doing. I hear people going back and forth on the internet, arguing and beefing and calling out each other. Why? How is that helping anybody? I know what it is. It's drama. And we love drama. Why do you think, AKA using my example, Little Nas X goes out and make videos sliding down poles, twerking on the devil, going in jail, twerking with inmates? Why do you think he's making videos like that? Because we love drama, regardless if you're gay or straight. Doesn't matter. See, now we have somebody in the chat. I'm going to call you out. Bro from Brum. See, you have your numbers. I'm going to show you a message. He says, to be honest, first, only 3 to 6 of Americans are LGBT, mostly white people. With all due respect, why are you very concerned about sexual minorities? First and foremost, how do you know who's part of the LGBT community or not? Oh, do LGBT, do they register somewhere on a federal or state where we can track them? On their job application, does it say gay, straight, non-binary, part of the LGBT, transgender? Some of them may have it. But the question is how you can inclusively say, and this is another point, do you understand that white America is over 70% of the population, while black America is only part of 13% of the population? And when you take those numbers into question, the black community have higher numbers of homosexuality. And you know how you can relate that into ratio and contrast? You can see that the birth rate of black Americans has declined as homosexuality has increased. He says from data U.S. consensus. So you're telling me that every statistic, every data, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to continue with my message because you're going to give me all my message because I hate when people do not understand that we can never compare ourselves to white America. Never. They're over 70% of the population. Hispanics are 16% of the population. Asians are between 8 and 9% of the population, and we're between 13 and 14% of the population. And what people don't understand, this is also part of the hood mentality. The reason why I'm so worried about it is because eventually we're going to become extinct. We are a rare species. We will become extinct if we don't understand. Because my next topic, we'll be talking about wokeness. Who is giving us this information? Who has perpetuated these stereotypes and these narratives on our population? Who has done that? We have the highest rates of people living alone, the highest rate of women and men being single, and all the other ethnics and races in America. Because for some reason, our hood mentality and our mindsets have somehow warred us against each other to hate one another. Black women don't respect black men, and black men don't respect black women. And we have all this music, we have all these songs to reinforce those perspectives, those narratives, and we go along with it. And who do we let listen to this music? Our kids. When we're in the car, when we're in the house. I too am guilty. But lately, when my son is in the car, I either listen to the heat that they don't play cuss words, or I'm listening to old school, because I realize music is a serenation. Music is energy. I remember how music used to be very, very conscious. Very, very conscious. Now, music, ever since gangster rap came on the scene, has been very destructive. And I used to listen to it, love the lyrics, but when I realized, like, you know what? And it took me years to realize this. The only thing we're rapping out is our own demise. The only thing we're rapping out is death. We love the beats. We love the rhythm. We love the chord. We love all the things about our music, but are we listening to the message? But see, we don't like listening to certain artists that may give us conscious music every now and again. Now, you got some hot people like J. Cole. You got some hot people like Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z that do some conscious music every once and again. But when I listen to people who really do conscious music, like a Joey Badass, we don't listen to him. He's not even popular. But he can rap, has good music, has a great message. We glorify cheating on our women. We glorify robbing our men, ladies. What's going on? Ain't nothing but the rent. Whoa. See, we have prostitutes right there in the hood. We have prostitutes right there in the ghetto. The only thing we know is if she asks us for something, I know I can get me some nookie if I just. Thank you, Chicken Given. Chicken says, we all respect art and artists because they can represent life better than most non-creative people. But the life that they're representing is destructive. The life that artists represent are destructive. See, we glorify these iconic artists in our neighborhoods, in our ghettos, in our communities. And guess what our kids are looking at? They're seeing all the money flashing. They're seeing all the cars, and they're seeing all the women, and they want to live that lifestyle. We're glorifying killing our own people, selling drugs, doing our women horribly bad, and it's vice versa. The women are doing the exact same thing, but most of their music is about taking advantage of guys. This is all based upon the hood mentality. This is a social experiment that has went very, very successful for white supremacists. This is a social experiment that has went tremendously correct for white supremacists. Because if you look at the 50s and 60s, majority of 80% of black families were together. You didn't see this huge boom in homosexuality. And some people were playing the narratives. Some people were playing in semantics that it was demonized. Even if guys or women felt a certain way, they were ashamed, they were afraid, they stayed in the closet. We can argue that all day. But here's the thing. Let me ask this question because Bro said the statistics about we not having a large homosexual community. If the percentage of homosexuality rises in the black population in Black America, how can we reproduce? How we can sustain our current numbers? What does that all lead to? What it leads to, we having no voice in social economics. We have no voice in politics. We have no voice in building generational wealth for our kids because it simply does not work. Now, here's my thing. If you're part of the LGBT community, you're part of the LGBT community. I'm not hating on that. What I am saying is, in our community, it's getting projected on. They're coming in there spewing poison on our kids. If you guys are watching media of any sort on any newscast, they have been projecting homosexuality to our kids before our kids even have a choice of what they want to be. If one of my sons said I'm gay, I'm not going to demonize him. I'm going to support him like I was if he was straight. But my point is, if you shove it down their freaking throat all the time, they'll be more susceptible to being something they wouldn't originally be. This is the hood mindset. Ball until you fall. Buy it on credit, go in debt. Everybody's trying to raise their credit score. Oh, hey, man, let's get on these investments. Why are you investing your ass $50,000 in debt and we're not talking about school loans? We have been glorifying this lifestyle. I remember living in Southeast DC, watching drug dealers go to and fro, wearing the best clothing that money can buy, nice cars, but living in the ghetto and wondering why they got robbed, killed, and shot. And we didn't learn from that. My generation, you're teaching your same kids the same poison. It's a repetitive cycle, and all the while, white people back here laughing. It worked. It worked. We put them in ghettos. We got that. We learned that from the Jews. We stack them on top of each other. The violence in the black community rose up. We take away their resources. We marginalize them and only allow them to get in certain types of jobs. So none of them really makes any money. So they have to live in the hood. They have to live in the ghetto. Then let's put on mass incarceration. So we start taking men from the home and the women have to raise the men. So and they understand that imagery and perception is the largest contributor to the destruction of the black community that anybody knows. I want you to see, because usually what do sons do? They watch their father. What do sons do? They mimic their father. You take the father from the home. Who is the son now mimicking? Mom. Because moms usually are nurturing, caring, understanding. Men are usually straightforward, firm, direct. You're not getting both sides of it. You're only getting one side, and you wonder why we have a lot of soft-ass men. That, not saying they're all gay. You wonder why we have simps, which we all have been simps probably at one time or another. I've been simp. I've been a simp. I've allowed a woman to use me knowing she was using me so I can get the nookie. But see, I'm man enough to realize that. I'm man enough to realize growing up, I had some female tendencies because I did not have a positive role model as a man. Except when I started going to the Boys and Girls Club of America, I started getting positive imagery, but none of them was consistent. So I always was looking for someone who looked like me, was a carbon copy, someone I can look up to say, hey, how do I be a freaking man? How should my thoughts go? How does my trajectory of how I should kind of live my life? What should I stand for and what should I fall for? We have to do better, family. We have to do better. This is our generation. We're the leaders in our generation. Those people in their 30s and 40s, this is our generation. And your kids are watching you. We have to understand that the hood mentality and the ghetto is a predatory environment, that everybody is leeching off of everybody. The only issue is, well, we don't understand which, see, some things you just can't see. We adapt to the environment. We adapt to the environment. But we're stuck in this mindset of love and loyalty to the hood. And we get demonized, okay, about, oh man, you don't keep it real no more. Oh man, you moved out, and hell yeah. And it amazes me when the same people that you were raised with see you being more self-sufficient, more empowered. They usually end up being guilty and shamed, and they use tactics and efforts to bring you down. Then sometimes I've noticed that some Black people who are on the path of prosperity, they become fearful of being successful. They're afraid of success, or they are afraid to show their success. We are afraid essentially to be rejected by our friends. If your friends are rejecting you because of your success, that you went off and did something with your life, they were never your friend. This cup is leaking like crazy. I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on, family, because I have a lot to cover. Now, if you guys are any part of the political arena, you know that the Democrats and the Republicans have been demonizing the term woke, and also wokeness and wokeism, which is just a synonym or essentially a replacement word for Black people. But again, let's break down the term woke. This is from dictionary.com. It said woke means being conscious or racially discrimination in society and other forms of oppression and injustice. In mainstream use, woke can also more generally describe someone or something as being with it. Woke is a term originating in the United States that originally referred to awareness about racial prejudice and discrimination. It subsequently came to encompass an awareness of other issues of social inequality, for instance, regarding gender and sexual orientation. Since the late 2010s, it has also been used as a general term for the left-wing political movement and perspective, which emphasizes the identity politics of people of color, which I hate that term, Black people, and LGBT people and women. But we know in the Black community, this is a term that when Black people become woke, meaning that we were once asleep about what Democrats and Republicans and police brutality and all the things in society that was against us. And those who essentially got a pass, those who were contributors to white supremacy, those who were Democratic and Republican shields, that they are Black and blackface, but they serve their white puppet masters. Or AKA, they demonize the conscious community, which are too woke. The reason why we use the term woke, because a lot of people, especially our mothers and fathers, were asleep. They never awakened from their hibernation. They never awakened from their slumber. How many times you heard your mother and father demonizing a Black man, not knowing the full story? Oh, probably the reason why he went to jail because he was selling drugs or he killed somebody. We don't even know what's going on. We just going along with the Democratic CNN and MSNBC and CNBC or Fox News. We just going along to get along. That's what we do. And we let them use our terms against us. We're going to break it down, though, because this is very important. Because all of us should be woke. And what they're doing is they're replacing the term in the word black and referencing black people to now saying the woke mob, the woke gang. Chicken says, I always thought woke meant different in ways of thinking than the other sheep, unique, original, creative, or something, but that says something way different. No. Let's get into it. Woke history. Black Americans in their ongoing fight against racism and social injustice have used the term woke at key moments. Look at the many references I'm using when it comes to the term woke. In literal terms, being woke refers to being awake and not sleep. The Urban Dictionary contributor defines woke as being aware of the truth behind things. The man doesn't want you to know the truth behind things. The man doesn't want you to know. We all know who the man is. They're talking about the white man. They're not talking about all white men. They're talking about the hand of white supremacy. And what we do not understand is for a very, very, very long time, we thought that white supremacy was on only one side of the bird. We thought it was on the right wing of the bird, meaning the Republicans. But all the time, the biggest contributor to white supremacy has been the left side of the bird, mainly the Democrats. See, what we need to understand is that we to be left or right, they're still part of the same white supremacy bird. But we have allowed ourselves to be duped, bamboozled, tricked, manipulated, day in, day out, term after term after term after term. And a lot of us was not woke. We were freaking asleep. Now they're using our terminologies of being awakened from a hibernation of we don't have any friends. Black people, we don't have any friends. Remember, even myself growing up, love going to the Chinese restaurant. Love getting chicken wings, mumbo sauce, and fried rice. Our women patronizes the nail shops, the hair supply stores. We don't even have contributors. We don't even have allies in the Asian community. They've never been our allies. They've never been our allies. What they have done is they come into our communities chase us around their stores, beat us, kick us, and then make sure they're protected by the federal government. And again, this is not all inclusive. I'm not talking about all Asian people. I know we got Asian people that ride with us. But I would like to believe that the mass majority don't give two flying fucks. I saw a video about an Asian guy was talking about that he wouldn't dare dream of supporting Black Lives Matter. We understand that it's a term of not supporting Black people. Then he goes around and says, oh, the Black community supporting Asian businesses. He said, oh, you guys like the food. That's why you do it. It's just business. And I know it's just one Asian guy talking some bull crap. I got it. It's like I'm one dude on the internet saying a bunch of stuff. Teddy says most Black people are conservative or Republicans. And when did that change? You knew when it changed. You knew when it changed. When Dr. Martin Luther King, was it Truman? No, it was Lyndon Johnson. It changed when Martin Luther King and Lyndon Johnson. That's when Black people became Republicans. But here's the thing. We never should be part of a political party. We should never be part of a political party, in my opinion, especially if you're woke. And again, as I stated before, being woke is just being black. It says the Oxford Dictionary expanded its definition on the word woke in 2017 to add as an adjective meaning alert to injustice in society, especially racism. In 1942, the first volume of Negro Digest, Sanders Redding used the term in an article about labor unions. 20 years later, a 1962 New York Times article was titled, "If You're Woke, You Dig It. No Mickey Mouse can be expected to follow Day's Negro idiom without a hip asset." Let me move on. Because here we're about to see how now, during the Olympics, during anchors and commentators on CNN, how they're now using the word woke to replace the word black to push the Democratic narrative. And let me double back down on my comment that we shouldn't be part of any political party. Our ancestors and forefathers were Republicans. What has it done for them? Did it allow them to create generation wealth? Nope. Black people are still the brokest people in America. We became Democrats. Has it helped us financially? Nope. Has it helped us socially? Nope. We're still getting killed in the streets, and we're still one of the brokest people on earth. We're the richest black people on earth, but we're the brokest black people in America. But let me break this down for you real quick. I put this together. I'm going to play this under fair use. Chicken say I'm from Europe, by the way, so I'm not aware of all the topics you mentioned, but I'm here to have fun. We're trying to educate and teach, brother. That's all we're doing. Let's look at this, family.
Starting the uphill climb to hold their majorities in the House and Senate next November, politicians and party strategists are admitting that their biggest challenge in that election will come from within. Woke liberals demanding adherence to policies on crime, the environment, and government spending.
Family, he said woke liberals. Woke liberals. I want you to listen and listen very, very well, because you're not going to get this if you just let me play the video. I'm going to have to stop sometimes for you guys to catch in on what he's saying. Woke liberals.
That are simply not shared by a majority of the country.
We're letting a noisy wing of our party define the rest of us. And my point is, we can't do that. I think these people are kind of nice people. I think they're very naive, and they're all into language and identity, and that's all right. They're not storming the Capitol, but they're not winning elections.
Former South Carolina Democratic Governor Jim Hodges agrees with Carver. Quote, how did Democrats win
fair use
like North Carolina, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Florida, Arizona, and Georgia? Hodges told me, he asked me in a conversation we had back in July. He added this, quote, focusing on how lives have improved since January of 2021. COVID rates are down and jobs are up. People are generally free to visit family and friends without restriction. The circus has left Washington, and Biden has already cleaned up the mess. I'm not sure why Democratic candidates would stray from that message, particularly in purple states, end quote. Now, while Carville and Hodges may be two of a very few people willing to go public with their concerns, there is broad acknowledgement within the Democratic Party that talking about things like defunding the police or the green...
Defund the police. Defund the police. Who pushed this large initiative? Because we understand he said the woke crowd Black Democrats are the one who pushed this narrative of defund the police. But keep listening, family.
New Deal or ending the detention of people coming across our southern border illegally are a recipe for political disaster in the coming 2022 election. Now, that rising concern is best reflected in a terrific essay by Kevin Drum, who used to be a staffer for Washington Monthly magazine. In noting that liberals have been aggressively stoking the culture war in recent years, Drum writes this, quote, despite endless hopeful implications of, but polls show that people like our positions, The truth is that the Democratic Republic, far enough left that even lots of non-crazy people find us just plain scary, something that Fox News takes vigorous advantage of. From an electoral point of view, the story here is consistent. Democrats have stoked the culture wars by getting more extreme on social issues, and Republicans have used this to successfully cleave away a segment of both the non-college white vote and, more recently, the non-college non-white vote. End quote.
Hope you heard that.
Now, if you look at polling, there's plenty of data to back up the concerns that Drum just laid out. Let's go through some of it. In an NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll conducted shortly after the 2018 midterms, a clear majority of people, 52%, said they were, quote, against the country becoming more politically correct and upset that there are too many things people can't say anymore, end quote. Just 36% said that they were, quote, more politically correct and likely to sensitive to their comments about others, end quote. A May 2021 Pew poll showed that 57% of Americans believe that, quote, people today are too easily offended by what others say, end quote, while just 40% agreed that, quote, people should be careful what they say to avoid offending others, end quote. Even on specific issues, actually, there's some sentiment that people believe the so-called
Woke mob. Can we break this down real quick? Woke mob. Now, family, are you guys familiar with the term mob? Are you guys familiar with the term mob? Because again, they're using the word woke, and he's a CNN anchor. We have no allies in the politics, family. We never had allies in politics. Let me break this down for you. Mob, coming right here from the dictionary, and this is from Oxford Languages. It says mob, a large crowd of people All right, family, I'm back. I had a There's a whole thunderstorm going on. Give me a second. We're going to go back into it. Sorry for the delay, family. I'm back on. There's a thunderstorm in Texas, of course, when I'm doing a video like this, right? Let's get into it, though. So woke means a large crowd of people, especially one that is orderly and intent, one causing trouble or violence, crowd around in an unruly, excitably way in order to admire or attack them. This is the meaning. That's the meaning of mob. So let's go back to this CNN talking about the woke mob. And we know that woke is just a replacement word for people of color, black people, not people of color like brown people. He's talking about black people. And again, this is from CNN, the most watched news station for black people. And he knows this.
Has gone a little too far. In an Axios Ipsos poll from May, 70% of Americans opposed the.
Let me know if you can hear that, family.
Just 27% supported it. A May Fox News poll showed that.
Let me know if you can hear that. Let me pause. Give me a second here. Can everyone hear me? Let me know if you can hear me in the chat, please. I had a power outage. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. I'm back up. Trying to make sure everything is good, family. This power outage is crazy. Give me a second, family. This is crazy. Give me a second. Here we go. They got my speaker. We're not going to do that. I'm still here, family. We still rocking and rolling. All right, let's get back into it, though. Because I want him to finish this because it's very important that we understand what this guy is talking about when he's talking about the woke mob.
Too much of an increase in government.
Now, let me back it up just a little bit for context here so you guys hear everything he's saying.
Percent of registered voters said the Biden administration is proposing too much of an increase in government spending, while 17% said they were proposing a not.
And if you notice, every time he says the word woke, they show a black person. They're saying the woke mob, the woke crowd, the woke gang. These are all negative. Okay? We have to understand in the political space that we have no allies. Whether they be Democrats or Republicans, it doesn't matter. But we continue to go out in droves, dancing in voter lines, worrying about if we can vote or not. But guess what? It never, ever matters. When a Democrat gets in office, when a Republican gets in office, they do absolutely nothing for us. Now they are demonizing us, saying that we're going to be the biggest contributors of them losing elections because we're not voting for them, because a lot of us are now woke, talking about melanated people. Oh, I love it.
3% thought they're proposing just the right amount of government spending. This porridge is just right. Now, as Drum notes, there are plenty of issues where the so-called woke policy has significant support among most Americans. More than 6 in 10.
Time to get woke, bro.
NPR and PBS News.
So now they're belittling us. You see this little picture? In that picture, it says, time to get woke, bro. This is how politics play with black people, and we keep falling for it every single time. How many times did people come out on the internet, social media, news media, and they say, well, Joe Biden actually written policies for mass incarceration? that locked up majority of our fathers and grandfathers. But we still went out in droves to vote for Joe Biden. Oh, well, Donald Trump is racist. They're both racist. Well, Donald Trump is not good for the country. None of them are good for the country when it comes to us. None of them are good for us. Whether it be Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Republicans or Democrats, Obama, Clinton, George Bush, it does not matter. They never did anything for us. But when other people get up there and they lobby and they ask for things for these political entities and political parties, they get exactly what they want. Hispanics got the Prosperity Initiative. Asians got an executive order that gives them federal protections under the law. Native Americans, quote unquote, got $31 billion from Joe Biden, plus the additional $2 billion they get every year from running their reservations, which are sovereign lands that they don't pay taxes on because they run and rule themselves. But now that a lot of us are woke, they're now demonizing the term. They're now demonizing the word woke, speaking to black people, because they know if we demonize this enough, black people are going to move to another thing. We need them to move. We need them to fall back to sleep. We need them to hibernate again. And we keep falling for the okie doke over and over again. It's time to get woke, bro.
Our poll from 2019 said the country needs a Green New Deal to help address climate change, which is interesting, right? But as CNN polling and elections analytics editor Ariel Edwards-Levy told me, most people don't really know what's in the actual Green New Deal. So the support for it is rightly read as a general support for addressing climate change rather than backing any specific policies laid out in the actual proposal. Then there's the political reality of all of this woke talk. Campaign politics tends to strip the
actual reality of all this woke talk,
carrying them back to sort of lowest common denominator stuff, not numerator, denominator, that motivates people to vote, or in some cases, not to vote.
Woke mob.
Yes, keeping people at home is oftentimes seen as a win for a candidate who knows that if everyone votes, he loses. And yes, politics can often be the worst. It's on that lowest common denominator.
So what are they saying, family? What are the Democrats saying? This is CNN. I'm going to tell you what they're saying. Again, this is what CNN is saying. While wokeness is the biggest threat to Democrats in the 2022 election, while blackness is the biggest threat to Democrats in the 2022 election, this is what we get when we fall for one side of white supremacy. This is what we get when we vote in the lesser of two evils. See, what you guys don't understand, whether you vote or not, there's going to be a president. But see, we don't understand our power. You go out there and you get your little vote button. Joe Biden got up there and said that black people voted him in and that he's going to have our back. And he hasn't done nothing for the black community. He has done nothing for Black America yet. If I'm wrong, put it in the chat. If I'm wrong, put it in the chat. Please tell me, because have you noticed that all of these black people that were speaking up from Joe Biden, where are they now? Where are they now? I don't see them. I don't see anyone talking about Joe Biden anymore. Now, and of course, the Democratic shields, the Democratic puppets, the coons and sambos that was out there caping for Joe Biden, of course, they're not going to say anything. They got power, position, and money. They got power, position, and money. While you stay in your ghettos, you stay in your hoods and live an awful, horrible, drug-infested, gang-related life. Go ahead. Keep on voting Democrat. Keep on voting Republican. So when we don't pose a vote, Then they use these terms against you. Your ancestors died for you to vote. No, they didn't. Stop having people to lie to you. Your ancestors fought and died for you to have the right to vote. Having the right doesn't mean you have to do it. And you have to understand your political power. A majority of Black Americans say, hey, listen, unless you do A, B, C, X, Y, and Z, 1, 2, 3, we're not voting for nobody. Whoever comes up and tells us what you're going to do for us, then we'll vote. But that's not the problem. They use certain terms that essentially help the entire country. And then you'll have your VP, Kamala Mammy Harris, say, oh, if you think we're going to do something solely for Black people, no. We're going to do something that benefits all of America. Then they come out with an executive order to protect Asian Americans. Okay, I'm not against that. Where is our executive order to protect Black Americans from the police, aka the race soldiers, allegedly? When is that going to happen? That's the issue that we're living in right now, because you're thinking that CNN is an ally of Black people. No, they're not. While wokeness is the biggest threat to Democrats. What's a threat? Can we look at the term threat, family? What's a threat? See, we need to start understanding words and what these words mean. Threat. Threat. A statement of intention to inflict pain, injury, damage, or other hostile actions on someone in retribution for something done or not done. Threat. A person or thing likely to cause damage or danger. We are a threat to elections. Who uses the term wokeness other than Black people? We need to be woke, and we need to continue to stay woke. I don't care if they're replacing the word Black people, African Americans with the term woke all they want. We need to stay woke because we're getting on that ass. And when they start realizing that Black people are waking up, and we realize that the Democratic Party has done nothing for us, we realize that the Republicans has never done nothing to us, even since we were Republicans back in the 50s and 60s, prior to Martin Luther King going into Lyndon Johnson. That is what we need to understand. But hold on. I'm not Republican or Democrat, so I got to give you both sides of the white supremacy bird. So Blacks are a threat to Democrats in the 22 election. Oh, well. That's right, Davey. I'm too blind to see what Joe Biden has done for us melanated people. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much. But let's move on. Let's move on to a network that we expect something like this. Me, I expect it from both parties. See, what we need to understand, not all white supremacists wear hoods. Not all white supremacists belong to the Proud Boys. Not all white supremacists are part of the 1%ers. No. See, we hate the truth. And anytime we go against what the public says or what the popular party says, and when I mean popular party, you got a group of people and they say, oh, that Donald Trump is racist. And you say, well, show me how he's racist. And they say, Central Park 5. You say, okay. You say, housing and apartment discrimination in his establishments. Okay. I said, so what about Joe Biden? They don't want to talk about it. Oh, that was such a long time ago. So was Central Park 5. So with his housing discrimination. But here's the thing, where people don't want to get down to the nitty gritty of the bills, laws, and legislation of it all. When Donald Trump was in office, tell me one bill that Donald Trump passed that was controversial of being discriminatory or racist against melanated people. Tell me one. But anytime you bring up Joe Biden's past about mass incarceration, the anti-crime bill, 3-strike rule, the list goes on and on and on. They say it was such a long time ago. Last time I checked, anytime that you're going for a job, they look at your resume, do they not? They look at your history to see if you're a viable candidate for the job. Because here's the thing, you could be in your job 5 years. You could be in your job 10 years. And then they say, well, what have you done during your tenure? And they come up and say, well, you really haven't done anything to be promoted. But we promoted Joe Biden. You promoted Joe Biden. You promoted Joe Biden because they demonize and fearful of Donald Trump. Okay, he's a white supremacist. Okay. That's why I stand on it 10 toes down and don't vote for none of them unless they come up with something and say, we're going to do this and here's the legislation. Here's the executive order, because I don't need for it to vote. I don't need to go through the House. I don't need to go through the Senate. I'm going to put an executive order. Vote me in and I'm going to be your president. I know how you guys have been discriminated upon. I know how you guys have been marginalized. I know how we have been doing racially biased things toward melanated people in this country ever since the aboriginal black people of this country and the black people we brought over on slave ships. I'm going to do something for you guys. Because you know what? I noticed that we've done something for every other group except for you guys. But let's get two sides of this white supremacy's bird. Let's do it. I'm playing this under fair use. Fair use.
Folks, I would never root against the United States of America in any capacity. I want our country to do well economically, regardless of the party in charge. I want our country to be safe, secure, and prosperous, regardless of who is in the White House. And I want our athletes to dominate on the world.
Excuse me, Tommy Lauren? Or should I say Tommy Lyon? Woke Olympics. Family, you can't make this stuff up, family. You can't make this stuff up. Now, this is Fox News. Let me show you. This is Fox News. This is the Democrats. Show me where there's a difference. Show me where there's a difference. And you can go to these websites and reference the same videos for yourself. I'm going to play the rest of this one.
World stage, regardless of how
fair use,
woke and theatrical they want to be about their so-called causes. But apparently, the popularized and glorified culture of wokeism and victimhood may not be beneficial to the athletic prowess or performance of our USA athletes. Yes, we do have a ways to go and boast 613 athletes in 36 events, and hopefully things will get off their knees and turn around. But as of now, our Team USA is off to its worst Summer Olympics start in nearly 50 years.
Correct, Teddy, correct.
America lasts a whole new meaning. On Saturday, Team USA really wet the bed with no one taking the medal stand in any category. Not archery, cycling, fencing, not judo, air rifle and pistol shooting, not taekwondo or weightlifting. Now, that laundry list of losses comes after the USA did not win one single gold medal on day one of the competition, which hasn't happened since 1972. Wokeism might be good for the oppression Olympics, but it doesn't seem...
Did you guys just hear what she said? She said wokeism might be good for the oppression Olympics. Last time I checked, Black people have always been oppressed in this country since the Europeans landed here. Who do you think she's talking about when she said woke? The woke Olympics or wokeism? Can I rewind that? Because some of y'all guys probably missed that. Let me rewind that.
one of the competition, which hasn't happened since 1972. Wokeism might be good for the oppression Olympics, but it doesn't seem to transfer to the actual Olympics.
Exactly.
And that goes for ratings as well. A 33-year low in viewership for opening ceremonies. Turns out we don't want to watch people who hate our country represent our country. Imagine.
We don't want people that hate our country to represent our country, because these are the fewest viewing numbers that they've seen since 1972. Has she factored in the pandemic? I'm just saying, are we really looking through this through a very conscious and woke lens? Because what I'm seeing here, I'm seeing Republicans and Democrats get on the white supremacy code. See, I don't demonize Tommy Long. No. I don't demonize Carville. I don't demonize none of these guys, because they are speaking on their own talking points for white supremacy. See, these are the soldiers. The people you see are the soldiers in the front. They're the spokesperson. They're the mouthpieces of white supremacy. Doesn't matter if it's on the Democratic or the Republican side. These people, I don't demonize this. You can demonize a person all you want. Like, oh, no, anchors come up with their own commentary. No. They get their orders. They get their speech and talking points from their own white supremacy organization. So it don't matter if she's talking about the woke Olympics with the Republicans, or the Democrats are talking about why wokeness is the biggest threat. Not the biggest dilemma, not the biggest issue, but the biggest threat. See, yeah, wokeism is the biggest threat to white supremacy. Yeah. Wokeism is the biggest threat to the Democrats and the Republic Klansmen. And Black people need to continue to get woke. Wake up your friend. Wake up your mom, wake up your dad, wake up your kids, and let them know that you have no allies in politics. And those people who look like you and talk for them, you need to point them out very, very quickly. When they tell you to get your booties to the poll, when they tell you go ahead and vote because your ancestors died for this, and then you ask them, ever since we landed in this country, or the original people of this country, what have they done since they've been over here colonized this country? What have they done for us? And then I'll then compare that to what they've done for other groups of people. Because last time I checked, we can't even own businesses in our own neighborhood. They allow Asians and marginalize the Black people. They said, no, we don't want no white people in these Black neighborhoods. No. Let's send the Asians in there. Let's send the white supremacy buffer class. And I'm not talking about all Asians, because I know how we'll take this out of context if we don't say, I'm not talking about all white people or all white supremacists. I'm not saying that. But these are the lenses that we need to look through these things. Let her finish, because it's important. Because you're about to see what she's really about. Not she in particular, but white supremacy.
Now, can we say wokeism causes poor performance? No, of course not. But it sure seems like these athletes might want to spend a little less time basking in the glow of the virtue signal and a little more time and energy perfecting their craft, their actual sports, their actual jobs. I am a political commentator. I do this for a living. Imagine if instead I started dribbling a basketball or basket weaving during these final thoughts. You'd be like, what the heck?
So you mean to tell me, out of all the sports in the Olympics, she mentioned basketball. Basket weaving is not in the Olympics. One day we're going to wake up as a people, collaboratively. If we can just get 50% of people to wake the fuck up, then we'll understand what's going on.
Heck. Well, same thing goes for these athletes. Activate your social justice grandstanding in your own time while you're representing the
Activate your social justice grandstanding. Activate your social justice grandstanding. Who are the people who are fighting for equality? Who are the people fighting for social justice? The woke mob, Black people, melanated people. hopefully I'm driving away the point. I know I lost a lot of you viewers because I had technical problems here. The thunderstorm knocked out the power for a couple of minutes. But this is absolutely bullcrap, family.
Say, do that.
Do that. Do that. Family, I just want to stay on point when it comes to these videos. The first part of this video, before it was interrupted by the storm here, we was talking about the hood and ghetto mentality and how we understand that white supremacy in this country has played a big role in how we essentially turned out to be, but it has not played a total role to where we cannot pull ourselves out from. We have to take some accountability. We have to take some credit of how we are, the mindsets that we have developed, that our parents have essentially influenced us. All this keeping it real, keeping it gangster, living a hood type lifestyle, ball to your fall, spending all your money on bull crap. All the while, every other race, every other ethnic in this country comes to this country and do 10 times better than we do. And we are not making any significant change. We're not making any significant change when we go out and vote for the Democrats or Republicans. And if you're asking me, am I telling you not to vote? I'm not saying that. I'm just asking you a simple question. What are you voting for? See, last election, they used Donald Trump to get Joe Biden into office. They scared you with Donald Trump. And someone told me, literally, they rather have hidden white supremacy than known white supremacy. That's a byproduct of you being asleep and helping other black people to be asleep. So regardless they demonize the term woke, you should become very conscious and woke of what's going on. You have no allies in politics, Republicans or Democrats. Because if you did, wouldn't you be in a better place, social and economically, just like all these other groups? On one side of the border, they tell you they don't want Hispanics here. They don't want Mexicans here. But Joe Biden signed an initiative to increase immigrations. Because they understand that a large portion of the Asians and a large portion of white Hispanics are their buffer class. Because they understand that their numbers are diminishing. They understand that their numbers are decreasing. But they know how to stay in power. See, the one thing that I'll give to this white supremacy nation is that they're very, very intelligent. They're very, very cunning. And the problem is they distract us. They distract us with that feel good. See, I look at politics, whether it's from the Republicans or Democrats, but mostly the Democrats because they mostly try to go after the black vote, like preachers in church. They give you that feel good message, but they can never deliver. The Democrats have never delivered. The Republicans have never delivered. When you start asking, well, if Joe Biden went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Greenwood community, and he accepted the fact that those white supremacists destroyed the Greenwood community, one of the first, not the only, one of the first Black Wall Streets, he put in an executive order of recognition. Have you noticed that? He didn't say, I'm going to trace back the families of the Greenwood community, and I'm going to get some accountants, I'm going to get some CPAs together because we know the wealth that that community has lost. No, he didn't do that. He signed an executive order of recognizing that Tulsa, Oklahoma was a terrorist attack. That's all he did. recognition. They're now going to start singing the the Lift Every Voice, the Black national anthem at certain sports events. Once again, recognition. But when it comes to bills, laws, legislation, they didn't sign the George Floyd bill. Nope. They didn't sign to start studying reparation. Nope. They didn't sign HR 40. They haven't signed anything into law to significantly change the lives of melanated people in this country. They have yet to do that. Good evening, pretty girl Kiki. Teddy Winston says, you notice how she kind of talks street slang when referred to us? Teddy, this is what they do, man. This is nothing new, family. See, the only reason why I show these things is because a lot of us walk around blind. A lot of us walk around deaf, dumb, and stupid. And then we start to take up for the Democratic class, and I just ask people, well, what have they done? Oh, well, the Republicans are stopping them. You ever heard of a thing called executive order? You ever heard of a thing called earmarks? There's so much that when you get in that political position without authority and power, there's a lot of things that they can do. But they jive us each and every time when we keep falling for it. Why? Here's the thing. Why will you keep being with somebody if they keep cheating on you? They've been cheating on us since the time they established this colonizing country. They've been cheating on Black people ever since they started this colonizing country. Everything they said they was going to do for us, they have done nothing. And then what we'll do is we'll have other people that look like us, that's not for us, that tell us that, oh, we just need to vote. Or you just need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, how can you pull yourself up by your bootstraps if they take your bootstraps? What you guys fail to understand is that if you get incarcerated, I think if you get some sort of felony, and the only thing you have to do is look on social media about how race soldiers who wear the badge frame Black people all the time, who demonize Black people all the time. There was a video that came out the other day where a melanated gentleman started to record the police as they was walking up, and the police threw something in the back seat of his car. And then he told me, hey man, what's that? He said, I'm tape recording you. He said, I'm tape recording you too. But this has occurred thousands of times, family. This is one of the few times that we caught it on tape. But we would demonize our own people, that everybody who's in jail is actually guilty. And we know that's absolutely false. There have been so many innocent Black people who have been proven through DNA and other sources of evidence they have never committed a crime. But what they do is they war us against ourselves. And it's just not in politics. It's in business. It's in entertainment. Have you noticed the whole racial backlash of TikTok? Have you seen that the music industry, they rather promote, market, and advertise? I'm just gonna call it deaf music. Because then when you start talking about conscious music, when does that ever get to the forefront on the radio? I was talking about Joey Badass earlier. He has a song called America with 3 Ks in the title. A very conscious song. You think that's going to get as many views as Lil Nas X? They demonize us at the same time, perpetuate us as predators. They perpetuate us as predators. And time in and time out again, we keep falling for the same trick bag. Family, This is Financial Literacy 101. And for you guys who's tuned in a little bit late, I do apologize for the technical difficulties we had. It kind of threw me off there. Teddy, thank you. Teddy says, we're not even a side chick no more. We just thoughts. But let's see. In the 2022 local election, and also with the 2024, 2025 national elections, let's see if any of us are still woke. Let's see if any of us are still conscious. Because if you notice, all your black hopefuls who was pandering, who were caping for the Democrats, where are they now? The Black Lives Matter organization that was supposedly for black people, where are they now? Now they're demonizing the term woke. And we understand that I showed you guys a little bit earlier that woke simply means black people. Why blackness is the biggest threat to Democrats in 2022. Why use the term woke? That's the question. If you don't believe what I'm saying, why use the term woke if you're not talking about black people? White people don't go around and say, man, I'm woke, bro. I'm woke. Asian people don't go around and say, I'm woke. Wayne, I'm woke, Wayne. Hispanics don't go around saying woke. So we need to understand that this term simply means black people. Simply means blackness. Why blackness is the biggest threat to Democrats in the 22 election. Where we are the group, unfortunately, that voted Joe Biden into office. And it doesn't really matter. Because right there, Fox News, you got them saying the woke Olympics. How some black athletes was kneeling down and also turned their back on the flag, and that they're running for those people who have been falsely incarcerated, who has been victims of police brutality. That's why they're representing. But see, none of us will really understand this because we rather look at drama on the internet. We rather look at people bickering back and forth at one another. And we take our eyes off the true message. And all the while, white supremacy is working in the background. And we're repeating the same cycle, term after term, decade after decade. And none of us are getting smarter. So you like the term, if you continue to do the same thing over and over again, that's basically insane. Then let me tell you this. If you think things are going to be different next term, then you are truly insane. Because it doesn't matter what election you're talking about, whether Obama got elected president or not. He even said it himself. He didn't do anything for black people because he was afraid of white people lashing out at him. But it's amazing how other people can come in office and do something for everybody else. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and be inspired, and realize that the reason why all of these things occur is for one reason and one reason only. That's for power and money. I'm out.